Okay, so you've got the boilies out of the freezer, and yeah, absolutely love the Marathon. It's going to be probably only the second time I've used it, and the reason why it's only the second time I've used it is because pretty much most of the time, for the first few years, I was using the NX baits. I was using the crab and cray, and then onto the Scopex peach. But when I did borrow some of these at the end of session, when I'd use the others up, the performance kept going. We're down at Linear, Brasenose 1, and we caught hundreds and hundreds of pounds of fish over, I think it was 4 days. We fished really hard, to be fair, and we had some great results. So massive faith in the Marathon. It's sort of like chunks of peanut inside them, and yeah, fantastic bait. So looking forward to using those for this session. Okay, hi everyone. Today I'm going to be using a slightly different bait. I've talked to you before about the crab and the cray, and I've talked to you about the Scopex peach as well. Both phenomenal baits, but I like to try everything in the range because I don't feel like I can give proper feedback on it unless I give everything a go. Now, I have used the Marathon mix before. I actually used it when I ran out of bait on B1. We had a monster session on there. It was only not in terms of long session, but it was only 4 days, but we absolutely clumped them up there on the Scopex peach, and I ran out and my friend was fishing the Marathon mix. Now, what's great about the Marathon mix is that it has chunks of peanut in it, and absolutely, you know, I've said it before, that whole crunch factor under the bottom, I'm sure the fish can hear it from when they crunch up snails and shells and all sorts of stuff. So what am I going to do in this session to prepare? Well, you've kind of seen me do it before, but what I do is I give the baits a soak first, and then I mulch them up and get them all ready. So let's get the baits into a bowl first, into a tub, so a bucket, I should say. Break these open. These are 12mm baits. I don't need too many. I'm kind of going to make enough for 2 sessions, each at 24 hours. So probably put about, I don't know, maybe about 3/4 kilo in the bottom. Okay, so first things first, let's add some water. Okay everyone, so now what we're going to do is the kettle should boil any second now, and when it does, we're going to add that boiling water in here. Now, traditionally, what I'll do, and as if on cue, it's just boiled. I'll put the lid back on here, and then I'll leave it for around 24 to 48 hours to really soak in, and then I'll mush it all up and everything else. So I do have one I've prepared earlier, but let's get the water in for these ones and get these sorted. Now, obviously with boiling water, you know, if you're a youngster watching this, get your parents to help you, so obviously be very careful, and I've obviously done this quite a few times before, so always be careful with boiling water, guys. I'll be sun over. There we go. So we've now got the boiling water in there, so we've got just enough to cover the baits. Just give them a little shimmy around. You can already see it's starting to milk up a little bit at the bottom here, and you can start to see the flavours all coming out of the bait. And you might think, well, why would you want all the flavours coming out? I want it to be literally washed out and soft. I'm going to reapply the flavours later on, but intensely so. So, you know, literally don't panic too much about that. It's more a case that the baits will be lovely and soft, and can mulch them up, and then we can really smash them with loads and loads of strong flavours. The fish are going to absolutely love. So let's pop the lid on this now. Let's let this you see that in there. There's still a bit of pellet in there from the last of the fish, but right, let's put the lid on. Okay, now let's leave these for 24, maybe 48 hours, and then we'll open up and have a look at them. But in best Blue Peter fashion, we've got one prepared and ready to go. Okay, so we've drained. Okay, so I'm about halfway through now, as you can see by the state of my fingers. But you can see here, guys, that I'll hold this up, that there's so many different bits in there now. There's still some whole boilies in here, but I don't even have to push hard and they just fall apart. Look at that, real soft, lovely. And again, this is even before we've added the salt. Oops. This is even before we've added the salt and everything else. So yeah, just loads of different little bits here that are going to flutter up, cloud up the water. And like I said before, It's a classic case of that bit of peanut there, got shaken away. But you can see the big bit of peanut there, guys. Don't know how clear that is, but lots of that in there. So loads of crunch factor and stuff. You know, there's another big couple of big bits there. Look, loads of peanut. And yeah, just keep working away. Really soft, lovely, creamy baits. And the fish absolutely love them. So yeah, it's just a case of breaking them up now, taking the time. And yeah, just loads and loads of real goodness in there, guys. And it's only going to get better now. So so sit back, relax. I'm going to finish off doing this, and then I'm going to get some liquids, some salt and some pellet in there as well, and we'll take it to the next level. So yeah, sit tuned I can't talk today. Stay tuned, and yeah, let's take it to the next stage. Just get it really ready, let's get it prepped, and yeah, hopefully we'll get one tonight. So stay tuned. Okay everyone, so we've got the bait all ready to go now. I have left a few bits in there in terms of the sort of rounder baits, but that's primarily because if I get cleaned out by smaller fish, there is some larger food items there as well. So yeah, so I will leave a few boilies in there amongst the rest, but you can see lots of different smaller items in here, and the fish will absolutely love that. And again, when you're matching it, I've got to say, I didn't pick up any marathon wafters yet, but I will do. But to be fair, the Scopex Peach pretty much mimics the colour that I've got here, so it works really, really well. So let's add in, first of all, our liquids. Now, the good thing about this is obviously it's soaked for that 24-hour period now. And again, I don't really use sweet corn. That's something someone asked me about in the last time I put one of my mixes up. There is a lot of bird life on the lake I'm fishing, hence why I'm fishing a slightly darker sort of bait rather than the really sort of whiter colour of some of the other baits that we do in the range. I don't want to attract the bird life, to be totally honest with you. I want the baits out there as long as possible unmolested, so that when Mr. Big Old Carp comes along, they can have a munch without it all being cleared out and the lines being smashed up and everything else. So without further ado, let's get some of the bait dip in, and using some of the Scopex Peach. So again, these come in 500ml bottles, and yeah, smell absolutely divine. So let's get some of that in. I'm quite liberal with it. Smells lovely. So just get some of that in there. Okay. And again, I'm not precious, get your hands in, give it a good mix up. Lots of goodness going on there, guys. Really rich smelling bait, and the bait soak just adds to that as well. And of course the crunchy peanut, the different size baits you've got in there, and the cloud effect, the creamy cloud that you get off it as well. So perfect. Now we're just going to add some pellet. So we will shortly be doing our own range pellets that we'll be bringing out to the market, and they yeah, in testing already they're proving very, very popular with the team. So I don't go too mad with the pellets, but I just want a few little bits and pieces that get stuck in the bottom of the lake under all the sort of bits of twigs, leaves or whatever's on the bottom, and also to just basically keep the fish hunting around. And also, when I look at the bottom of the lake I'm fishing at the moment, there's lots of tiny little brown snails, I mean minuscule, and those sort of that sort of size mimics the tiny little pellets I've got in here as well, these little flecks of dark brown. So I'm just going to add one more handful some of our pellet. Let's get this out now. Dropping them all over the place. The wife hates it when I do it in the office in the videos and stuff. So just scatter them around, but that's what I'm talking about, the small little pellets. I think they're about 2 mil. But again, they sort of mimic the tiny little sorts. I'm not sure what snails they are. Very, very small snails. So there we go. Very nutty, very rich, milky and creamy. And that's ready to go, guys. So you can imagine if we put one of our baits in amongst that now. So if I grab one of the Scopex Peach baits, it's literally not that far off at all. It's just going to be that little sight bob that they need to come in and home in without it being, audaciously white. Is that off colour just sits in well with the bait. So so yeah, you can match a hatch, of course. and I often do that, you know, if you're fishing one of our little 12mm boilies over the top like that one there, then again you can go even more crafty if you want to, yeah, both ways will catch you carp, that's for sure. So that's the bait mixture for the session. I'm going to keep that nice and concise, probably drop it in with a pole, and again keep everything nice and tight, and yeah, just make sure those birds don't come too close. In terms of the time frame that I'd leave this mixture before it sort of turns bad, then I would happily have this on the bank for sort of 2 or 3 days with all that liquid over it, no problem at all. So yeah, really nutty, really creamy, lovely and cloudy, lots of different sizes of baits, and I think that will do very nicely. Hi everyone, so we've got the bait ready to go. What's really important to me about these videos is that when we're making the bait up, when we're showing you the rigs, that we're showing you the baits, that we're actually using them. So in the videos I do, I'll be using all that in the session, because it's very important to me that it's credible with what we're doing. So what do I need to do first? Well, I need to wait for the missus to get home first. When she does, I'll be heading off to the shop to get a few bits into the tackle shop. Hook baits, I think I mentioned it before, but I'm going to be using these Scopex Peach. Now I'm using these just primarily because I forgot to pick up some marathon hook baits, which I aim to do at the end of the week, but I've got so much faith in those, more than happy to use them, and of course they're very much matched to hatch with the bait we've got in the bucket. Hook baits covered, free bait covered. How am I going to dispatch the bait? Basically, I'm probably going to be using a bait and spoon. The second rod I will not put out there until I see something moving worthwhile to aim at. Typically that'll be on a hinge stiff rig, just because the weed is pretty full on down there. In terms of the lake, yeah, we'll be drawing for a swim. If I don't come out too early, then I'll probably let everyone crack on, because the fish do kind of scatter once people set up. So they'll see them jump in, they go down there, and then they'll scatter like most lakes. Probably, I remember that on Manor, so often people turn up onto the, so you've got 3 plateaus just under the water in Manor on the linear complex, and the fish will start rubbing against it and jump out, and then everyone will try and get on the swim. You see the leads going out and everyone dragging it back, and within 10 minutes later they're down by the browns or the life buoys. So you know, fish scatter about on all waters, and it's worthwhile just sometimes just sitting back, relaxing, taking your time, not rushing anything. It is a very weedy water, it's a very tricky water, you know, I keep saying it, a lot of people go many nights without catching. At the moment, I'll be lucky to get 1, maybe 2 nights a month, with 2 little boys, 2 jobs. It's hard for everyone. It's not a sob story, because I know all of you out there are working really hard. It's just, you know, life is hard at the moment, and so work and family has got to come first. But when I do go fishing, I really want to focus, because I don't get too much time to do it. So I want to make sure when I'm out there, I'm really catching. I've been very lucky with my track record in terms of limited time in catching. And more often than not, like tonight, it'll be an overnighter before work. So I feel your pain out there, guys and girls, that there is limited time for fishing sometimes. But if you do due diligence, you make sure you're fishing 100%, you'll do very well. And if you use the rigs I'm showing you, the baits, and again, take your time to make sure you're on the fish, you'll have them. You'll absolutely have them. You know, one thing I will say is that I always talk about heavy leads. If I'm fishing the margins, yes. If I'm fishing out in the pond, I will use the lightest leads possible, because often not, I'm casting around feeling for a donk if I find one. If I see fish showing, I'll cast over the top of them, reel along the surface until it's right over them, just let it drop down slowly, rather than casting right on the heads. An obvious one, I know, so sorry if you already know to do that. But keep things simple. I've waffled long enough. Let's get to the shop. Let's get some munch. Probably going to be really unhealthy, knowing me. And then yeah, I'll join you at the lake. Cheers. Okay, so last checks. Bags all packed. Cut the alarms. They're all good to go. Rods, bivvy, bed chair. I mean, I don't travel too heavy, to be honest. So I'll just have my bed chair, rods in my mat, and the bivvy will be in there too in the backpack. So literally 3 things I'm carrying. So I very rarely take a trolley, but yeah, all good. Let's get ready to go, guys. We'll nip to the shop, grab some food, and then we'll get to the lake. So yeah, see you in a minute. moves on the cards. Didn't happen last night. The fish were down here. Essentially they moved off in the night, so started to move further and further up the lake. But this morning I've started to hear them crashing over the other side, so I'm going to get packed up and get myself around there quickly. I've got about 3 hours or so before I've got to pack up and get to work. But you know what, 3 hours takes a couple of minutes to get a bite, so you've just got to be in the right place. I know it's an obvious one. So last night, well, that's probably not too easy to see. This way, darling. Bless the dog walkers. Right, so where am I? Yeah, okay, so over in the background, if I go, oops, it's just in here, but I mean super tight in there, and then I literally dropped one in, where we're about here, where one lopped out, so yeah, fingers crossed, let's get packed up. It's starting to rain, but let's get the gear away, and yeah, see if we can make something happen. Tell me when you're ready.
Yeah, filming.
Okay, so here we go. Caught on that marathon boiling mix from NX Baits. Give it a go. Can have fish like this. Keep everything simple and accurate, and just keep disturbance down as much as you can. So enjoy your fishing, and hopefully see you on the bank. Cheers.
Nice.
Lovely, thank you, mate.